Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. This world is a subtle and complex place. There are so many different points of view. There are so many different ideas about what's right and what's wrong. There are so many different ideas about religion. There are so many different modalities of prayer. There are so many different ways to go about making a connection between man and God. Most of us would like to know a methodology that takes us towards God, that integrates us with that which is reality, that integrates us with that which is eternal, as opposed to integrating us with that which is temporary and physical and manifest. To begin with, we must understand that that which is eternal is not physical. That which is eternal is not of manifest form. That which is eternal is not elemental. That which is eternal is without form. Yet, without form, it is longer lasting, it's more important, and it's more real than everything with form. The big difference for all of us is that our senses are not attuned to formlessness. Our senses are attuned to form. So to be able to make the transfer from being attuned to that which is physical, that which is form, to that which is without form, takes a certain attitude and can take certain methods. In Sufism, there is an understanding that there is one unity, and that unity is God. And everything else springs forth from that. God, the effulgence, gives off rays, and those rays, that effulgence, is what's real. Everything else is not. Now, everything that's real comes from that one source. So there is but one source that everything comes from. And the further we drift away from that source, the more we believe that there is an independence between ourselves and that one source. But in truth, they are unified. There is but one. If there were more than one, then there wouldn't be the unity of Allahu Achad. God is one. When one says God is one, it means more than just God is one. It means all is one. All is one is La ilaha illallah. I do not exist. Only God exists. And a big part of our attempt to integrate with that majesty, to integrate with that truth, to integrate with that reality, is to let go of the duplicity of our nature and the duplicity of the way we think. In unity, there is no duplicity. In unity, there is but one. There isn't two. Now, the point of integration with reality is to become reality. But for many people, they are so involved in the preparation for this that the preparation becomes the extent of their method. For instance, if you go to a large Sufi group, and they're all sitting in circles reciting the Kalima or reciting La ilaha over and over and over and over and over. At the end of 3 hours, they get up and walk out of the room. Question: are they any different at the end of the 3 hours than they were at the beginning of the 3 hours? Has this recitation done anything for them to alter their attitude, their being, their way of seeing things, their relationship to the physical, and the relationship to that which is not form? Has anything happened? If it hasn't happened, then what is the point of all of this recitation? What is the point of recitation if nothing occurs? Now, if something occurs, that's different. But if you find that nothing occurs, then you have to do something so that you see some kind of positive movement. And to see this positive movement, you have to become less and less attached to the physical. As we become less attached to the physical, we alter. For instance, if you eat a lot, you're going to get fat. If you eat less, you're going to be skinnier, and you will lose a portion of yourself. You'll disappear. But it's because you changed your attitude. You changed the way you do things. In this world, we can be a hoarder or a giver. If we are a hoarder, that means we are very attached to the physical world and we hold on to it. And we hold on to it in many, many different ways. If we are a giver, then we lose our attachment to this world and we give it up. We give it up in return for being and becoming more unified with truth and less attached to the physical. This physical and non-physical understanding is a key to understanding the unity in existence. Man's arrogance keeps him from entering unity. Man's resistance to giving up the self keeps him from entering unity. Man seems to naturally resist changing his ways and naturally resist the non-manifest. He doesn't want to disappear. Man wants to stay as he is, yet simultaneously have this relationship with God, wherein God is non-manifest. My teacher, when he spoke, would sometimes say, when I am here, God is not. And when God is here, I am not. We are not capable of both being here at the same time. Either we are in duality or we are in unity. And the time we are in unity is the time when we lose thought of ourselves, we lose thought of our situation, we lose thought of who we are, we lose thought of our involvement in the earth, we lose thought of our personality, we lose thought of all of the things in this world that trouble us and bother us. So there's another method then in order to find truth. And that method is not to recite about truth, but to become truth. And the whole point here is not recitation. The whole point here is becoming. And we have to do what we can to understand what this coming is and how to bring this coming about. If everything in the world makes us jump, if everything in the world pushes one of our buttons, if we react to the world in every aspect of its encounter with us, then we are attached. So the world is in constant stress. The world is in constant disruption. The world is not stable. Historically, if you look at the world, you see it's not stable. Historically, if you look at the world, let's start at the beginning of the 1900s. You had World War I in 1915, 16, 17, 18, the war to end all wars. Then you had the Second World War from 1939 to about 45. Then you had the Korean War. Then you had the Vietnamese War, and so on. But there was a constant disruption and a constant eruption between men as to their situation in the world, a disruption based on political and philosophical ideas on how to run the world. We, who are very short-sighted and who don't have a huge overview of existence, take that which is happening to us at this moment as some kind of exceptional trauma that never happened before. And it's just not true. These traumas have been going on forever and ever and ever. And somehow God has kept this world together. So the question for us is, how can we remove ourselves from the daily trauma of existence and live our life, as opposed to living our life involved with the daily trauma of existence? If we wish to be involved with the physical, then the daily trauma will overwhelm us and we'll become part of that daily trauma, and transcendence will be out of the question for us. Now, there's the Buddhist saying, before enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. So here we are in the world, and we do what we have to do to maintain ourselves in the world. And from the outside, we look the same, whether we are transcendent or whether we are not transcendent. But we need to realize whether we are or are not transcendent. And the recitation of certain words can be a formula for this move to transcendence. But there has to be action in response to the words. We can't just stay the words. After a 3-hour zikr, after a 3-hour recitation, when you stand up, are you the same as you were when you started, or have you changed? If you haven't changed and you've been doing this for 5 years, what's the point? Do you need another method? Do you need another way? Do you need to understand something more? That something more begins with your own personal actions. That something more begins with your reactions to what goes on in the world. That something more has to do with dealing with your satisfaction with existence. There are those who walk around and say, how can God allow what's going on to the world to go on? How can God allow all of these difficulties to go on? And how come he doesn't interfere and do something about it? Well, God has given us free will. That free will is a very complex matter. And some of what it deals with is the following. How do you handle the situations that you're confronted with? Can you go through them without the ups and downs of emotional upheaval? Can you go through them without becoming distraught? Can you go through them without the attachments of blood or the attachments of religion? Or are you so bound up in your religion and in your bloodlines that you support whatever goes on within your bloodlines as opposed to any other bloodlines? Do you see distinct differences between yourselves and other people? How is it possible to find unity when you purposefully separate yourself from others? How can you find unity when you make distinctions between religions? How can you find unity when you make distinctions between the color of people? How can you find unity when you make distinctions between the class of people, wealthy and not wealthy, famous and non-famous? How can you find unity as long as you carry distinctions? How do you get rid of distinctions within yourself, and how do you move forward in that state? Do you treat a beggar different than a king? Or you treat a king different than a beggar? God treats everyone the same, and he wants the same thing from everyone. He wants everything. He wants your complete and total surrender to him. But what man is afraid of is that by giving this complete and total surrender, he somehow loses himself and becomes less, when in truth, he grows and becomes more. He becomes part of the unified whole. He becomes part of eternity. He becomes part of understanding the secrets of the world. But this can only happen when you give up the belief system that involves differences. When you give up the belief system that holds one separate from the other. When you give up the belief system that your religion is better than the other religion. When you give up the belief system that somehow you have been sanctified and purified and pulled out of humanity and made to be an example of truth. Arrogance will tell you that. Arrogance will tell you that your club is the overriding important club, Your religion is the overriding important religion. And anything else is less than that. Unity is very simple. There is but one. Non-unity is also very simple. There's more than one. And as long as we adhere to there being more than one, or are unable to see the one, then we are barred from that unity, which is truth. We are barred from the unity that is universal acceptance of the fact that there is one God, universal acceptance of the fact that there was one man, universal acceptance of the fact that we are all one. This is a hard road for many of us to move along. It's difficult for a lot of reasons. And the reasons are, again, that our senses are attuned to the physical. They're not attuned to the non-physical or the spiritual. For instance, love is a very powerful thing. Without love, this world is a very difficult place for man and woman. Without love, there does not seem to be a real reason for existence. People who don't have love find substitutes for love. Wealth, fame, power. But they also find that these substitutes for love don't fulfill their needs, don't fulfill that part of them that is looking for truth and looking for reality. So, when we focus on the world and we focus on judgment, what is it that we're judging and what is it that we're focusing on? Usually, we are judging the interaction that people have with physical things. In other words, if somebody takes one physical thing from somebody else, for instance, money, it's stealing. And we can judge them and say, they stole, they're bad, that's bad. But if we understand that this is mainly a disease of the fact that they have not transcended their physical self into the non-physical self, then there's a different understanding. If you have watched true holy men, and true holy men are very rare, if you have watched true holy men, you will see that they have no need for possessions. My teacher, if he put something in his left hand, it went out of his right hand. He put something in his right hand, it went out of his left hand. He didn't hold on to things. He didn't need things. He didn't want things. He didn't want involvement in things. Judgment comes when you determine that things should be a certain way, and they're not. Since they're not, and you have a predisposition as to how they should be, your judgment tells you there's something wrong. Well, in God's unity and in God's overall plan, there is a purpose that is beyond man's ability to comprehend. So as we deal with that which is beyond our ability to comprehend, what part of us believes that we can comprehend it and that we can come to determination as to which way things should be. Sometimes it's very easy to know what's right and wrong, and sometimes it's impossible. The story of the Kiddonabi and Moses is an example of the fact that that which is usually self-evident as to the rightness or the wrongness of it is not necessarily so, because the picture is beyond the picture. The scenario is greater than what meets the eye. So when the Khidr says to Moses, don't argue with me, don't tell me what's right, don't tell me what's wrong, just watch what I do, Moses sees him do things that seem to be contrary to that which is purposefully right. But there's more to it. And we, who are limited in our capability, don't know the more to it. We just know what we see and we react to what we see. So, question, are we capable of limiting reaction? Or do we have to react to everything? Can we understand limited reaction? And can we understand not having to be involved in every situation? Can we be passive? Take Switzerland, for instance. Switzerland has set forth a policy that it is neutral when it comes to world politics. And it tries to live this way without being attached to any point of view that goes on around it. What's the point of view that we hold on to that drives us? Are we a religious fanatic? Are we a race fanatic? Are we a nationality fanatic? What is it that makes us what we are? What is us? What is it that separates us from unity? What is it that we hoard? What is it that we hold on to so tight that no matter what goes on, we will not let go of this? We'll let go of everything, but don't ask me to let go of this. What is that thing? People go through therapy trying to figure out what their problems are, but they're not looking in the right places. We have to begin to look in the right places. In addition to our recitation, we have to be able to meditate on ourselves and see and learn why we act the way we act. What is it that makes us do things? What is it that drives us in certain directions? What is it that tells us when things are right and when things are wrong? What is it that keeps us involved in the physical and doesn't let us to go to the non-physical? For instance, when love enters the equation, it changes everything. A baby, when it soils itself, is a bother or a baby. Now, if it's a bother, that means either the mother or the father refuses to change the diaper. And if that goes on long enough, you got a really terrible problem in the house. But In another sense, love overcomes all of the smell and the mess that goes on because love understands, love forgives, love takes into consideration all of the difficulties. Are we capable of true love? Love is the bridge that will take us to the connection to the truth. But if we can't love, then we can't make that connection. If we can't love, we can't bring ourselves to unity. And what is that kind of love? We have to understand that. What is that kind of love? God loves all of his creation. Yet the clerics will tell you that God loves our portion of creation more than he loves other portions of creation. These are very difficult things to comprehend, and when you look at them closely, they don't make sense. Yet people hold on to them, and we fight wars over them. We kill over them. We have constant disruptions in this world because of them. We don't understand the nature of things. We don't understand what love does to those things. So, in the midst of chaos, are we part of the chaos, or have we separated ourselves from the chaos through love? This is a major understanding in our fate, F-A-T-E. If we love and if we comprehend love appropriately, then we have a fate in eternity. If we don't love appropriately, if our love is physical, if our love is transactional, if our love is within the world, then we have a fate that is tied to the world. So you can tie your fate towards two things. You can tie your fate towards the world, or you can tie your fate towards reality. If you tie your fate towards reality, it means that you've left the physical behind, and the physical no longer has the import on you that it used to have. Your religion doesn't push your buttons. Your language doesn't push your buttons. Your nationality doesn't push your buttons. You don't run around carrying flags proclaiming who you are, because a flag cannot proclaim who you are. Only you can proclaim who you are. And each one of us is different than every other one of us, whether we carry the same flag or not, whether we have the same religion or not, whether we have the same nationality or not. We are all individuals. And we have to take that individual path through love to cross the bridge of transcendence, to cross the bridge of materiality, to cross the bridge from the sense world to the spiritual world. We need to do this for ourselves. We need to do this for who we are. Yet, there are all of these physical groups that want to tie your fate to them. It's how institutions act. Institutions want to become bigger. The purpose of an institution is to grow and to make itself mightier. And what are the basic tenets in institutions? Bring more people into the religion. Bring more land under the control of the institution. Bring more power under the control of the institution. Make the institution the all-powerful and have man fit into the institution. All the institutions do is what they do when they want you to go to war, when they enter into the army. They're there to kill you. They're there to destroy you. We need to escape from all institutions. We need to escape from all ideas of what the world is about and how the world works. If there's unity, none of any of it matters because there is but one, and that one is without form. And if we are to find that which is without form, we can't constantly be talking about things that have form. We can't constantly be talking about these things with form that control our lives. And we can't believe that they control our lives. You know why they control our lives? Because we let them. When we stop letting them, they won't control our lives anymore. When we can get over all of the ways that read a newspaper. Does it ever talk about transcendence, or does it try to present facts in such a way that they make a point? They certainly don't talk about transcendence. They talk about trying to make the world right through manipulating form in such a way that the form brings about positivity for the world. This is the great sin of Marxism. This is what communism has done. This is what communism brought into the world. The belief system that controlling the physicality, controlling distribution, controlling what people have and what they don't have is what's going to solve everybody's problems. None of that is true. That's not going to solve your problem. What's going to solve your problem is transcendence. What's going to solve your problem is when you give up the world and you no longer need the world. When the world no longer influences you, but only God influences you. And that which is eternal influences you. Understand that this life is a temporary situation that's manifest for a certain period of time, and then you dissipate, your connection to it dissipates, and your interaction with it dissipates. And as you disappear, the world disappears from you. So why are you holding on to it now? Why don't you give it up now? Why don't you give it up before it's taken from you? Because it will be taken from you. And so the Sufi way is to die before death, to give up now, not later, to give up now, not be forced to give up everything we hold on to give up everything we hold sacred, to give up everything that we adhere to and we're ready to die for. The only thing we should be ready to die for is to see God. And we have to somehow make that jump. Otherwise, we'll continue to stay stuck in the material world. And as we stay stuck in the material world, we become more and more involved in the material world, and we believe more and more in the material world. And we begin to lose our faith in God. People begin to believe that armies are what control the world. People believe politicians are what control the world. People believe legislatures control the world. People believe religions control the world. Very few actually believe God controls the world. And he does it through love. And once we begin to understand that the real control comes from God, and the real control over our lives comes from God, and the real understanding comes through God, then we will be relieved of our anxiety and all of the underlying difficulties that we have in life. But we have to work at it, and recitation isn't enough. Our attitude has to be appropriate. Our attitude towards each other has to be appropriate. Our attitude towards what comes at us has to be appropriate. We can't constantly react to the world. We have to understand the difference between the physical and the non-physical. And we have to begin to react to the non-physical. We have to learn what unconditional love is, and we have to be able to react to each other with unconditional love. And this unconditional love will resolve problems as if they never existed. It's when love doesn't exist that problems exist. Love is the salve that cures all of this difficulty. But as long as men would rather hate than love, this is going to continue to be the way it is. As long as man's arrogance overwhelms his love, arrogance will prevail, and for that individual, life will be very difficult. We need to make life real for us. We need to make life attainable for us in a way that we meld with the truth, that we enter into the truth, and that we understand the truth. And then we will be calm. Then we'll be serene. Then we'll be content. Then we'll be able to walk anywhere. And whatever happens, we'll be able to accept, because our faith is not in the world. Our faith is in God. And may it come to be that we all understand this difference, and that our faith is tied to God, and God in return ties himself to every single one of us and brings us towards him. May it be so for each of us. Ameen, Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.